up, guys? What's going on? Welcome to episode number 12 of the Spun Today podcast. I'm your host, Tony Ortiz. Thank you guys very much for listening. It's weird that I was just noticing and realizing here preparing to record this episode of the podcast, and like always, I have my my show notes ready, which is pretty much like bullet points of a few things that I want to cover in the episode and stuff like that, and minus all the inevitable tangents and shit like that. And I have everything like set up and prepared, and then as soon as like the intro music starts, as soon as I like play it, I say that everything's recording properly, I start to get nervous, which is like a mixture of excitement, I guess, also mixed in with, oh shit, I hope this episode doesn't suck, and I hope some of you are able to find some sort of enjoyment out of something from the episode. So in hopes of that, hopefully you like this one, and if not, then hopefully you forget to remove the automatic downloads of the podcast on your phone, at least for a few more episodes, and then bump into it again down the line, and then fall in love with it then once it's gotten a little bit better. But till then, what do I have for you guys? Something else that I noticed, actually, I was listening to some of one of the previous podcasts, and I hate doing it. I really hate it. To me, it fucking sucks, and I don't like, like most people don't like the way they sound, like when you listen to yourself speak, like if you ever have, like, I don't know, like in a video or some sort of recording, or like on a voicemail on the phone or whatever, you always sound different to yourself than what you envision yourself sounding like, or what you're used to hearing, like within your own head. So it always sounds like a little funny like that, and I don't know, it's just a little weird generally. So I don't like doing it, but I know it'll be a beneficial thing to listen to at least some of them, just so, just to pick up on annoying little habits, like the one that I'm about to mention, which is why I brought it up, that I say like I just did right there, way too much, like an annoying amount. So I apologize in advance to you guys. And something cool or interesting that could actually try turn a negative into a positive is start a Spun Today podcast drinking game for every time that I say and and I guarantee you'll be trashed like within 15-20 minutes of the podcast, probably each and every time. But yeah, listening to myself helps me pick up on shit like that, so I'm gonna try to do it more often and correct little quirks like that, little mistakes like that, and that's pretty much it. So this episode is episode number 12, which is coming out, interestingly enough, on February 12th. I just noticed that. Interesting coincidence. And it is going to be, or it is, another free writing session episode. And I'm going to cover two of the posts that I currently have on my website, spuntoday.com, under the free writing section. So it'll be spuntoday.com/free writing. And if this is your first time listening, or if you tuned me out in previous podcasts that you may have listened to, the free writing section of my website is dedicated to style. I guess it's considered a style or genre, I'm not sure what to call it, but a type of writing that I enjoy doing probably the most, which is free writing. I feel it's cathartic and therapeutic, and you get a lot of shit out, a lot of ideas out when you just free write, which is you pretty much put pen to the paper and just start writing first thing that comes to mind. You can have something in mind already that you want to explore your thoughts about, or just literally sit down and start writing. I have no idea what I want to write. I don't know what I want to write, and then things inevitably begin to come out. And it's pretty cool. You'll surprise yourself if you do that. I find it pretty insightful and, again, like therapeutic, and I like doing it. So, in the podcast, I'm sorry, in the that section of the website, I have a form of free writing which is inspired by a certain quote or saying or song. Or what have you, that resonated with me in some way, shape, or form, and inspired me to free write something about it, or just in general inspired me to free write. And that's what I'm going to go over today. 2 of those postings. So previous free writing session podcasts are also doing the same thing, just with different posts that I've posted on there on the website. And there's a bunch more that I haven't spoken about that are on there. If you guys just want to go on and read them, or if you want to read and follow along while you're listening to this, again, it's spuntoday.com/free writing. Now, before I get into that, however, I'm if you guys haven't caught on by now, usually I do an intro, then the actual topic of the podcast, which in this case will be the free writing post that I'm going to go over, and then after that an outro. So it's intro, topic, outro. That's the general format of the podcast, which a lot of guys do. And sometimes the intros could go long. I know I've heard complaints, not personally because nobody listens to this yet, but complaints on like Ari Shafir's podcast, Skeptic Tank, or Duncan Trussell's podcast, the Duncan Trussell Family Hour, where they go on super long rants, or they literally have like another person doing the intro with them. Steve Simone's podcast, Good Times, usually does the intros with Lisa Ayat, and some people enjoy them, like I enjoy them, because I recognize them for what I feel that they are, which is just a part of the entire experience of the podcast. I actually see it as like a bonus, you know what I mean? And but some people complain like, oh, what the fuck is up with this intro? You know, it's so long or whatever. But whatever. To any of yous that are of that frame of mind, aside from go fuck yourself, there's a fast forward button that you can press and fast forward to the quote unquote content or topic or whatever of the podcast if you want to get to that. But what I do with my intros is, you know, just speak about random shit, or I'll write down a couple of bullet points of, you know, current events, or what I've been up to lately, or what I'm looking forward to, like that type of thing, and go over it there before I start the free writing session. So what I'm going to start with today is actually a Broadway play that I went to go see recently, like a little fancy boy. I went to a show. I saw Wicked with my fiance and sister-in-law and brother-in-law, and had an awesome time. I've been to a couple before. They're fucking expensive as shit, those tickets, man. That's why I went now, you know, being a cheapskate, but I went now because it's a 2-for-1 Broadway week in New York on Broadway, and pretty much get tickets 2-for-1, like 50% off. So instead of paying like $200 a ticket, you pay $100 a ticket, which is still expensive as fuck, but a worthwhile experience to go if you can, every once in a while. I remember after I went to my probably the second show that I've ever been to. I haven't been to a lot. I've been to like 4 or 5 of them, but the second one that I ever went to, after going to that one, I like told myself and told my girl at the time, my now fiance, that I wanted to go like every single month, that we would budget to go to a show like once a month, and we'll see a whole bunch of them, because I fucking enjoy them. I like them. And that obviously didn't happen. because they are fucking expensive as shit. But every so often, especially for like this type of event, when you can get like a deal like that, it's pretty dope to go see a show. If you've never been to one, definitely check one out. Just for the experience, just to the whole try something new type of thing. And you might like it, and if you don't, you fucking experience something new, and you can actually make up your own mind of whether you like it or not. I'm still saying every fucking like 10 seconds, but that will be a positive byproduct of the podcast, hopefully. Fine-tuning shit like that and not saying it. So yeah, I saw Wicked. It was pretty good. I would say probably like my second favorite show that I've seen. My first favorite, I'm biased because I'm Dominican, but my first favorite is In the Heights, which is awesome. And Wicked is definitely a really close second. I think it's like the most popular, like, I don't know, all time, but like currently on Broadway show. And for those of you that don't know, what I liked from it the most is like the creative ass concept of the show, which was those of you, I don't know, probably everybody knows the story of Wizard of Oz. It's based on that, but from the vantage point, the story is told from the vantage point of the Wicked Witch of the West, I believe. The West or the East? The green one in the traditional Wizard of Oz story. And in the traditional Wizard of Oz story, I don't remember the plot exactly, but pretty much it's, everybody's off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz, that, all-powerful, all-knowing, omniscient, godlike entity that could save and solve everything. And then there's this evil, wicked witch, which represents all evil and badness and stuff like that, which is the Wicked Witch of the West. And that's like the general plot of it. And there's a lion that ironically is a coward. He's not courageous at all. And there's a Tin Man that has no heart, and a Scarecrow that has no heart. Was a Scarecrow? Or a Scarecrow has no brain. And that the girl Dorothy, I forgot what her deal was. But yeah, you guys fucking remember the story, hopefully. Anyway, so they're all good, and the Wicked Witch is wicked. And in this Broadway play, it's the reverse. So they show the same story, or not the same story, because I guess they don't have like the rights to it or whatever, because they like touched on all the characters but gave them, didn't like outright like say their names like too much, but they told the story from the point of view of the witch, like how she became who she became, and how she was born like green, basically, and the father didn't want her, and the mother died at her birth, and the father blamed her, and she was picked on, in school and stuff like that, but she wound up having like powers, and she was gifted, but she was always like ridiculed and hated, and people did evil shit to her and killed her sister, and it was all like a manipulation of the Wizard of Oz, like in the play. Spoiler alert, by the way, anybody who hasn't seen the play yet, sorry. But he's like pretty much like running the show, but it's all smoke and mirrors, and it like touches on like politics in a way, like in that way, where there's a lot of hoopla and rhetoric and bullshit, and you're told a bunch of things, and behind the scenes it's like a completely different story. And you know, shady, bad, under the table deals being done and stuff like that. And he has everybody gassed up basically in the land of Oz, and everybody loves the wizard just like in the traditional story. But then the Wicked Witch realizes that she gets to like close to him because, you know, she's gassed up too and wants to meet the wizard and stuff like that. Then she finds out that the wizard's full of shit and he's pretty much just manipulating and taking advantage of everybody. And he realizes that he can't control her, and tries to fucking ruin her life, kills her sister, like stuff like that, and paints her out as this wicked, evil witch. And you know, hence the whole Wicked Witch of the West story. And then she dies at the end of the regular Wizard of Oz story, and in this one she like fakes her death because she wants to protect the people that she has left that she loves or whatever. And if she pretends that she dies, then the wizard won't go after her family and stuff like that, and then she like lives in exile by herself. And actually with the scarecrow, they made their scarecrow her boyfriend. Like they fall in love or something. So she pretty much valiantly runs away in exile with her scarecrow long lost love or whatever. It was a pretty dope story. It was cool. To me, it was creative as fuck, and interesting how they flipped. Like the story made all the good characters essentially bad, and all the bad ones essentially good. And it was pretty interesting that way. And it kind of makes you think and analyze like the people around you in your life that you allow to be in your life, that are, you know, you might see as good and are bad, or you might see as bad and are good, or a combination, or I don't know, shit like that fascinates me. So definitely check that out, Wicked, on Broadway. And what else? The Anderson Silva and Nick Diaz fight on UFC was a bit of a disappointment to me. It was, well, first of all, both of them got popped for Anderson Silva for PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, which is, you know, he's denied, but he tested positive for 2 metabolites, and that's a shame. And Nick Diaz tested positive for weed, like he always does, which is not surprising at all. But it's not a performance enhancer, so whatever on that. But it's Anderson Silva was like one of the poster boys for, you know, all natural performer and athlete, and, you know, against drugs and stuff like that, and he still holds that stance. So it's like shocking to hear. And I read an article today actually from I think it was MMA Weekly, and GSP was speaking about, like, they requoted him from like when he left, and he was alluding to a lot of athletes being on PEDs. They just haven't gotten caught yet, and everybody pretty much wrote it off as like sour grapes because he got fucked up by Johnny Hendricks. And they like requoted him there and like interviewed him again, and he again said that, you know, testing has to be like a lot more stringent, and they have to do testing the right way if they're going to like catch all these athletes, or at least have them on an even playing field, because he said on all levels, on all what was the exact term that they used? It was pretty good. They said on the entire spectrum of the ranking, on every rung, there are athletes that take PEDs and that are doing that now in the UFC. So, which is one of the reasons why he wanted to leave the sport, supposedly. But yeah, it's crazy that it's Anderson Silva. It's crazy, but then on one hand, from another vantage point, it's like the guy broke his leg, like shattered his fucking leg after getting knocked the fuck out the fight before, for like the first time, just for like fucking around. And sorry, I had to pause the recording real quick there, which to you guys is probably seamless, but my train of thought is lost from where it was. So pretty much I was saying that Anderson Silva like shattered his leg on his second fight with Chris Weidman, and the fight before that he got clipped for like showboating and fucking around, and you know his ego's all fucked up, has to be, and just like physically being able to recover from that terrible fucking shatter. And he's like 38, 39 years old, which is not old, but is definitely getting up there for a UFC fighter. I guess it's not old like in terms of his stature as like an elite, like probably the greatest of all time fighter, but you know, definitely counting against him. So what was my point? The point is the fact that he got popped for PEDs is kind of like, yeah, I kind of see it in that, you know, situation, you know, him recovering from all that shit and trying to get back in the swing of things. And he took like a year off, 9 months, 10 months or something like that to recover and recuperate from all that shit. It's fucking has to take a toll, man. It sucks. It's fucked up. It's a weird like gray area within the league now. You know, taking PDs or not, and you know, like Joe Rogan has said on his podcast, it's like, where do you draw the line? Like what's considered a performance enhancer now? You know what I mean? Like whatever he took that made him test positive for those two metabolites that he tested positive for, and where's the line? Like where, you know, I'm taking creatine, you know, that helps me fucking bulk up and you know, breathe better. Is that considered a performance enhancer? Technically it is, but it's not illegal. And then what gets you considered illegal, what doesn't? You know, vitamins, minerals, fucking other supplements and shit like that. And I don't know, it's a shit show. But at the same time, they do have some sort of fucking list of what's illegal and what's not. I guess the argument could be had as to what belongs on that list and what doesn't, and why, and what influences, you know, being put on the banned substance list and stuff like that. If there's, you know, political, monetary implications as to what gets put on that list and what doesn't. That's probably like a whole conversation in and of itself. But yeah, as of now, I mean, there are things that are on that list, and whatever he took is on there, so it's fucked up regardless in that sense. Like in a black and white sense, it's fucked up. But yeah, we'll see how that winds up playing out. What else do I have before one more note here before starting the free writing session of the podcast is one of my favorite I don't know what to call it, places or tabs or whatever on the website is the Ode to Podcast section, which is dedicated to some of the podcasts that I listen to, not all, but some, and just like funny or interesting conversations, and or like insightful or enlightening or whatever, something that's said or a conversation that's had that resonates with me for whatever reason, and I transcribe them and put them up on the website. And that's on spuntoday.com/ode to podcasts. And in that section, I added a new one that wasn't there before for a podcast that I liked before and I'm starting to like even more now, which is Good Times with Steve Simone. So if you go to spuntoday.com/ode to podcasts, or just go to spuntoday.com. At the top, you'll see Ode to Podcast. You hover over that, and you have a list of, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different podcasts that are currently on there. Within each one of those is a like a conversation or whatever that I transcribed, or several that I transcribed for something that I thought was either cool or inspiring, or I liked for whatever reason. It's one of my favorite parts of the website, because it's things that I draw inspiration from and that I have on there, hopefully to help you guys out in some way, or point out to you this source of inspiration that I've gotten, to try to spread the love a little bit more and put you guys onto some pretty dope podcasts and conversations that I've listened to, and hopefully that ripples across the pond of life in your direction somehow. And I added, like I said, Good Times with Steve Simone, because I listened to his podcast sporadically, and then one day I listened, I think, to like 3 or 4 like back to back, like at work and then on my way home from work, and I was like in the zone of the Steve Simone podcast. Shout out to him, and to Lisa Yet, doing a great job over there, and thank you also to you guys for doing what you guys do. And so there was like a bunch of things that resonated with me. I started transcribing them and posted a bunch on here. I think there's 4 from his podcast on here now, and down the line I'll be adding more, as I do with all the other podcasts. And in this section, just to give you guys an idea of the format, in black, for each post, in black there's a title that tells you like what the post is about, and then in blue underneath that you have the conversation transcribed, and then in red right underneath that you have the episode number, the name of the podcast, and then the exact time remaining on the podcast that you can like fast forward to, where that particular conversation that I transcribed begins. Also that where the episode number is and the name of the podcast and stuff, you can actually click on that, the red portion, and it takes you to either the person's website, where the podcast player is, or directly to iTunes, and you guys can just download it outright and take a listen for yourselves, and listen to the conversation in its full context, which I recommend. And also, because you might hear other things that resonate more with you for whatever reason, and that you enjoy more, or that you'll find funny, or whatever, if you guys listen to it in its entirety. So absolutely check that out, guys. spuntoday.com, and it's in the Ode to Podcasts section. And the idea for this section actually was probably one of the first things that I like had already, but didn't really like know what to do with. That gave me the idea for the website, that then in turn turned into eventually this podcast. Because I knew I wanted to write. I've written for a long time, and just nothing like official, like concrete, that I could say, here's my body of work or whatever. But I'd always write in like backs of notebooks or letters or articles, and really enjoy writing papers and like stuff like that. But never like as a concrete, like, this is my hobby type of thing. But I had a bunch of stuff like that lying around, and then when I started getting notebooks, an idea actually that my fiance gave me a few years ago, and I think she actually got me like my first notebook and was like, you'd have all this like stuff like written like randomly like all over the place. Why don't you like centralize it? And that gave like birth to like the whole free writing, and not the free writing because I was doing that before, but just actually like pick it up like as a tangible like hobby. Like I can try and do something with this type of thing. So I had that going on, and then this like ode to podcast section. I started, like I've told you guys before, I'm like a podcast junkie and a half. It's, objectively speaking, it's disgusting the amount of podcasts that I listen to, like 24/7. If I could, I would. I'm not too far from that now, and I enjoy them so much. And then there would be things that I would hear, or that I would want to like, that I did re-listen to multiple times, and then things that I would forget, and then I started like writing things down, and then that eventually turned into like me literally transcribing, starting to like transcribe like whole like passages, and from just like writing down a couple quotes here and there, and then I was like, fuck, which episode was it? I would write down just like a random quote, and then say, damn, which podcast was this on? This was on the Joe Rogan Experience. And then I wouldn't remember which episode it was in. So then I started writing down like the episode number and then the exact time. And then that eventually turned into what this O2 podcast section is, like with the current layout. And I had dozens of them like written out. And I just like typed them out in Evernote, actually, which is a pretty cool app, by the way, if you guys, not to go off on a tangent, but I'm going to, obviously. Evernote is a pretty cool app where it syncs up to your smartphone, and you have the application on your computer also. You write down notes, and you can take photos with it. It gives you the option of, like, let's say if you're like on a website, you want to save an article, you can save, like, it'll literally clip the screen and take like a screenshot and save it in your Evernote thing, or it'll like save the actual website for you. And like when you go in, like on the screenshot, let's say for example, of like a particular article that you read online, you like click on it and it'll like actually take you back to the website, so it's not like just a screenshot of it. And there's like a Chrome extension that allows you to do that for Evernote. And again, also it syncs up to your phone. So if I'm like in the subway or something on the ground, I can open up my Evernote app, like I've done a bunch of times, and like start writing something. And then when I get to work or when I get home, I open up the Evernote app on the computer, and what I wrote on my phone is there because it like syncs up like seamlessly, and it's pretty dope. And it's free. There is a paid like premium package thing with it or something. I'm not even sure how much it is or what you get for it. I'm sure it's awesome, but I got pretty much everything I wanted for, like from the free app or whatever. So, if you guys aren't cheap like me, you can spring for that. But if you are, then check it out. Evernote. It's like a green square with their logo is elephant, actually. It's like a green square with like a black or gray elephant, or elephant's head, and whatever. So I was typing up, back to what I was saying, I was typing up all these podcast transcriptions like in Evernote, and I just had them there like for me, and then when I started getting the idea of, maybe I should start like a little blog or whatever, and I started thinking like, what am I going to put on there? I know I want to write. I know I want to get better at writing because it sucks, and I want to do it in a way where it's not just like, for me, it's not just like on like a personal level like that, because that it always will be regardless, but kind of like put it out there to like light a fire under my ass a little bit, and also just get constructive criticism off of it, and get the creative juices flowing in that way. And so I knew I wanted to do that, but I wanted to the website not just to be like a like a one-trick pony type of thing, you know. Want it to be like a one-stop shop in the sense of, you know, people can interact with different aspects of it, I guess, or where I could combine different passions. And I decided to, you know, break it up into different sections like it is now. So I have different types of writing. I have the free writing section, which is, you know, what I told you guys about before, which I'm going to get into in a couple minutes right after this. Super long intro, which is now at 35 minutes. And then you have like the Ode to Podcast section, which is the one that I just told you guys about just now, where I transcribe all, you know, different inspirational shit that I get from some of the podcasts I listen to. Then, so I had those two, and it's kind of like the jump off topics or things to have on the website. Then I've always taken pictures, like forever, and I was like, oh shit, you know, instead of having dozens of folders on my iPhoto, you know, titled scenery and fucking sky and all this other random shit that I have, I can actually, like, you know, find some sort of use for it other than, you know, switching out my screensaver every once in a while for some of the pictures I take. And, you know, started the photography section of the website, and then inevitably that all gelled, and the Spun Today podcast decided to not just be a listener, but actually pick up my skirt, grab my balls, and put this little podcast together and see where it goes. So it's like the fusion of those pastimes all in one. So yeah, that transcribing of podcast, you know, gave birth to all this shit, or was at least like seminal in it, and very, you know, very instrumental in doing what I'm currently doing now, which to me is an amazing hobby that I'm having a blast doing, and just want to continue doing it more and more and more. And it's, you know, thanks to the type of inspiration and guidance kind of that I've gotten from the different podcasts that I do listen to. So I doth my proverbial hat to all you fellow podcasters out there doing your thing, and thank you guys. So now, without further ado, further than 38 minutes ado, let's get into the free writing session portion of the podcast. So today I have two posts that I'm going to go over. And the first one is from Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, Season 1, Episode 10. And in this, for those of you that don't know, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee is an online show that you guys can watch for free on YouTube or on Crackle. And it's on other mediums, I'm sure, or other sites or whatever. But that's where I watch them. And it's really cool. It's like 15 to 25 minute little episodes of Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian, just driving around, and he's fused, you know, two of his hobbies, I guess, which is, you know, he collects cars and stuff, and hangs out with comedians, and he's fused that into like a semi-podcast-ish type of show, I would say, where it's exactly what the title says: Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. Picks up a friend in a different car each time, speaks about the car, describes it and why he picked the car for that particular person that he happens to be picking up, and you know, goes out with them to random coffee shop, or maybe not random, but to a coffee shop, not the same one every episode. It's like a different place, and just has coffee, has breakfast with them, has lunch, and hangs out with them. They shoot the shit, and it's pretty cool. It's unscripted, or for the most part it seems unscripted. It's an interesting little series he has going there, and it's pretty dope. I like it. I enjoy it. So this pull, or this not pull, this free writing piece is based on a quote from season 1 episode 10, where he had what's his name, Kramer from the show, from Seinfeld, Michael Richards, in the episode. And it was a really it's out of, I think there's been 3 seasons or 4 of Comedians in Cars. Each season has, I don't know, like 8 to 12 different comics that he's like interviewed or whatever and hung out with. And this one, out of all the seasons, is my favorite episode. It's Michael Richards tells a dope story of some like chess playing savant that he bumped into, and you guys have to listen to that story. It's pretty cool. And he I'm not gonna do it justice, but pretty much he's like really into chess, supposedly. And when he was in the army, he used to play chess, and he was like so good. He was in, I'm not sure if he was in competitions, but he was like, you know, in that circuit of people that, you know, fucked around with chess competitions and stuff like that, like fucking Little Man Tate or something. And he played against machines and fucking used to beat machines at like the expert level and stuff like that. So he says he saw a homeless person in the street walking with like a chess set or something, and told the guy that he'd play him, that he wants to play him. And the homeless guy told him something to the effect of, all right, I'll play you, but I'm only going to let you play me twice. I beat you twice, and that's it. You're not allowed to play with me anymore. And Michael Richards describes it as, you know, they just sit down on the floor in the street, they start playing, and the guy beats him in like a handful of moves the first game, and he's like, oh shit, this guy's, you know, not crazy. He looks fucking crazy, and you know, like a hobo, a street person. And you know, but he fucking kicked his ass, and he's like supposed to be this like really good player. And then he plays him again, and you know, the same thing, beats him even faster the second time. And then he bounces, and he's like, no, you can't play me anymore. And Michael Richards is like, all right, come on, let's play. And he's like, no, fuck you, you know, I told you, you get to play me twice, and that's it. So then he goes, Michael Richards goes home, and he speaks to a friend of his that does play in competitions. And his friend told him, he was like, oh, you played a savant. Those people, I like search for them when I'm like in a certain town and going to play in a competition, just so I can get a chance to like play against those people, and like, you know, in a fucking sharpened steel type of way, you know, work on my skills. And or iron sharpens iron is the saying I was looking for. But he says like he looks for those people, and Michael Richards said, you know, could somebody like that like playing a competition? He was like, oh no, he's fucking completely out of his mind. People like that are crazy. Like they can't like sit still. You can't like hold them in like the constraints of a competition, but they're by far better than anybody in the competitions. So I don't know, I found that story interesting. But that's not what my free writing thing is about. But if you guys want to follow along with the free writing thing, you can go to spuntoday.com/free writing, and it's actually go all the way to the bottom of the page and click on older posts, because it's on like the second page of it, and it should be the first one on top. The post is posted on September 1st, 2014, and says Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, Season 1, Episode 10, Jerry Seinfeld. And then in red, it has the quote that inspired me to free write, and then in blue, what I free wrote. Similar to the Ode to Podcast section, if you click on the red, it'll take you to a Crackle link or YouTube link. Actually, no, the Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.com website. It takes you to that page with the actual video that I'm speaking about now, in case you guys want to listen to the quote that I'm about to read, or the story that I just told you guys from that episode. The whole thing is like 15 minutes long, so check it out. You guys might like it. And here I go. The quote is, this is Jerry speaking to Michael Richards, and he says, no, I don't accept the judging of process. It doesn't matter that you like to rehearse with your nose up against the flat, saying lines. That doesn't matter. We're all trying to get to the same island. Whether you swim, fly, surf, or skydive in, it doesn't matter. What matters is when the red light comes on. And that to me is like, just couldn't be more true. But here's what I free wrote a while back now. In blue, I wrote, how you get somewhere, the journey, is very important, and more often than not, more significant than the actual destination. But to you and to you alone. Inwardly, it should be all that counts. The whole kit and caboodle. That process is for you. It's your mechanism for achieving whatever it is that you set out and or are setting out to achieve. As such, it's beyond contestation. Extrapolate that idea to the idea of setting a goal for the day of a routine task like going to the supermarket. Picture yourself riding a bike there. Now picture yourself walking there instead. Now driving. Each of those three choices affect you in a personal way, in that you physically go through three different modes of transport. What you're essentially doing, though, is going to the supermarket, and henceforth completing your goal. The how and when do not matter, as long as you get done whatever it is that you set out to do. And that's what I free wrote on Friday, August 2nd, 2013. Shit. At 12:09 a.m. And it's interesting to see what I was thinking at the time when it comes to this particular quote. And I would add to it now that it's something the process that you go through to doing something that you want to be doing. Like for me, for example, with podcasting or writing, is something that's very personal and very, very visceral and matters to you. And somebody else could care about it, but it'll never be that it'll never have that same hold that same weight or have that same connection that your particular process has to you. Just like you could care about somebody else's thing, but their connection to it is something that you won't connect to the same way, if that makes sense. And that being the case, you have to factor that in when you do get criticisms and people telling you, don't write that way or don't podcast that way or do this or do that. And it's not to say just say go fuck yourself to everybody, even if they come at you with a negative type of criticism, because even with a negative criticism, you could cherry pick and pick out some constructive jewels that you can use and then help enhance what it is that you're setting out to do in the first place, and continue on your journey and enriching your journey that much more for your ultimate goal, which is the completion of your process. If it's something that is, does come to fruition with or culminates with a completion of sorts, or maybe it's just going through the process in and of itself. Maybe that's your thing. But like it says, that process, it's not something that should be judged. I mean, you're always gonna have assholes or people, not even necessarily assholes, but just people that will judge that process regardless. But it's on you to not let that derail you from your red light coming on, from your eye on the prize, your goal. Because your process, his process, their process, her process, they're all going to be different. Even if we're all doing the exact same shit, it's going to be different avenues to get to the same place. And that's fine. That's all right. You know, we're all different people. And that's essentially the reason why they're all different paths, even if the destinations are the same. And you just have to be okay with the fact that you need to be okay with that, and focus on your journey and your path and stick to it in your way. And yeah, that's that post. That's again a pretty dope episode you guys should check out, from comedians in cars getting coffee. Now this next quote that I'm going to read is from a book called Blink, Blink, by Malcolm Gladwell, and it's right underneath the Comedians in Cars post, also posted on September 1st, 2014, and it is again the quote in red that you can click on, which will actually take you to through my Amazon portal link to Amazon, where you can purchase the book, Blink, and it would actually be supporting the podcast. It works just like the banner on the Amazon banner on my contact page that you guys can click on and do your Amazon shopping through, and it doesn't cost you anything more. It's just that Amazon pays me a few cents on the dollar just for driving traffic to their website. It's a way to help support podcasts, and again, it doesn't cost you anything. So yeah, you guys can click on the quote in red, and it'll take you directly to Amazon. You guys can purchase the book if you guys feel like it, and if not, just listen along. And the quote is, "The gift of their expertise is that it allows them to have a much better understanding of what goes on behind the locked door of their unconscious." This reminds me of... Alright, then I wrote in, I free wrote to that quote, that this reminds me of the Miyamoto Musashi quote from the Book of Five Rings, which, by the way, I haven't read yet, but it's on my to-do list, or to-read list, rather. And again, this is another quote that I only know exists because I've heard it on Rogan's podcast, and also on Brian Callen's podcast. He quotes this book a lot. That's what has made me want to check it out. And I read like a couple reviews of it online, and a few other like quotes like this one, which are pretty dope and seems like something that I would enjoy reading. So it's definitely on the to read list. So yeah, let me backtrack a little bit. So I free wrote to the quote. This reminds me of the Miyamoto Musashi quote from the Book of Five Rings, which is, "If you know the way broadly, you will see it in all things." Similar, right? To me, it's saying that expertise is expertise. Excellence is excellence. Real recognize real. Once you reach a certain level, it's like a language. When applying that level of expertise, it's like being able to understand and maneuver within different dialects of that language, even if you don't speak that particular one outright. Your subconscious is at an expert level, an innate level of knowing. It realizes and recognizes things before you consciously even know that there's something to be evaluated. Those split decision, second nature actions are one of a kind, unique to each of us. Can we truly ever understand it? Hone in on its construct? Harness and direct its ability? Possibly, but not very likely. The first step, in my opinion, is to understand that you don't know how or why it works, but need to understand and realize that it does, and work with it, embrace it, so that you can truly be able to tune into that level of expertise one day and apply it to any and every aspect of your life that you see fit. I wrote that on Tuesday, July 16th, 2013 at 7:48 a.m. Fuck. One, that's a long time ago. I have to post some of my newer shit that I've written. I like writing freehand, by the way. Like, pretty much everything that I write is freehand. And then I, type it out afterwards, word for word. Even the short stories, actually, I like free write short story ideas. And then, that's something that, like, I edit and construct, on the actual computer, typing it out. But what was I going to say? This was on Tuesday. This is probably right before I left to go to work on that particular day. Or maybe I was off that day. But if I was off, I probably wouldn't have woken up that fucking early. But sometimes I do, like, wake up in the morning and I feel like writing something. I'll, like, take 10 or 15 minutes, write something out, and then bounce after that. But yeah, that's how I felt about that, and it's an interesting concept, that one, that Miyamoto Musashi quote, or Malcolm Gladwell quote also, which is also a concept similar to Stephen Pressfield's concept of the muse that he speaks of in The War of Art, which I've said this a bunch of times and I'll continue to say it 1,000 times. Read The War of Art. It's an awesome book. Easy read for those of you that don't like reading. And it is... it's not a dense read at all. And it has, like, so much value. Like, it's chock full of fucking value. With a bunch of practical life applications. And that concept in that book, and as well as these two that, or this Malcolm Gladwell quote that I just spoke about, I read to you guys, is dealing with that same concept of, or not directly the same exact concept, but definitely cross paths with each other, which is of getting the fuck out of your own way and allowing yourself to tap into the part of yourself that allows you to achieve the greatness that you want to achieve. Which is not, by the way, some, like, grandiose woo-woo, I'm the king of the world type of greatness. It's whatever greatness is to you. To me, it's, staying consistent with recording this podcast every 2 weeks and continuing to write and to better myself in that sense. To you, it might be, being a better employee, or starting your own business, or being a better, brother or father or sister, mother, friend, whatever it is to you, whatever that means to you. These are all dealing with the walls that we set up for ourselves, and obstacles and hurdles that we put in our own way and obstruct ourselves, either intentionally or or non-intentionally, from achieving that version of greatness. And that is pretty much it, guys. That is the episode. That's all I have to say on those 2 free writing posts. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, like I said, you can go on the website, spuntoday.com/free writing, and you can comment on those individual posts, or on any of the other posts that are there. You can like the posts, and shoot me over an email at spuntoday@gmail.com, or go to spuntoday.com/contact and fill out the little contact page. It's with your name, your email address, and you can shoot me an email through there. And like I was telling you guys, this is the outro portion of the podcast that I whore myself out on a little bit to try and make the podcast a little bit of money so it could actually be self-sustaining. And one way that you guys can support the podcast financially is by checking out the photos on the website, where I told you guys all the photos are posted under spuntoday.com/photography, and also there's a website called Crated, CRATED.com/spuntoday, where any of the photos that are available on my website, which you can actually just download for free if you just want digital copies of them. But if you go to crated.com/spuntoday, you can actually order posters and prints, postcards, like shit like that, of those photos, and that'll definitely help support the podcast. Also, another way, which doesn't cost you anything, but would be a huge help, is if you go to spuntoday.com/contact and click on my Amazon banner. It's a portal that'll take you straight to Amazon.com. It does not charge you anything extra at all. It's just Amazon cuts me back, or gives me back a little bit of a kickback from their side, just for driving traffic to their website, and that'll help support the podcast. Another way that you can help for free, doesn't cost you a damn thing, is go on iTunes, go on Stitcher, and rate and review the podcast. Ratings obviously help the podcast gain exposure and more people see it, and it goes higher on the list and stuff like that, and more people get exposed to it, more people listen, and ultimately that's obviously a good thing. And of course, follow on Twitter at Spun Today, and on Instagram as well at Spun Today. Like the Facebook fan page, the Spun Today fan page, which is facebook.com/Spun Today. Also on YouTube, you can check out all the episodes on YouTube. I'll be tweeting another link for the YouTube page because it's not yet youtube.com/Spun Today, because you need, I think, like upwards of like 500 subscribers on YouTube or something like that, and then they allow you to actually name your page, or like the URL for your page, but until you reach that level, it's just like a string of numbers and letters and shit that I don't know, and you guys wouldn't remember anyway. So I'll tweet a link out to the YouTube page where you guys can listen to this episode along with any and all other episodes of the Spun Today podcast, if that's an easier medium for you to listen through. That works too. Like and review and comment on the YouTube page as well. Lastly, if you guys can subscribe to my newsletter, that would be awesome. I promise you 100% you will not get spam and shit, or get bombarded with things all the time. You'll probably get like one email every 2 weeks, or pretty much just letting you know that a new podcast episode is out, or whenever I post something new, like a new short story, I'll shoot you guys over an email and let you know. And to sign up to the newsletter, you can do so on the Facebook page. Again, facebook.com/Spun Today. It's on like the left hand side. There's like a little widget button thing that you can click on and sign up to the newsletter that way, or directly on my website on spuntoday.com/contact. It's all the way at the bottom of the contact page. It says subscribe here or something like that. You just have to put your name and your email address in, and that's it. And that's pretty much it. That's all the whoring out of myself that I have for you guys today. And I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. And as always, substitute the mysticism with hard work and start taking steps in the general direction of your dreams. Thanks for listening, guys.